Following the Chancellor's update on Wednesday, 8 July 2020, the government has announced significant support for apprenticeship as part of their plan for jobs. The new incentive has been launched by the government in order to generate hundreds of thousands of new jobs for young people as part of their wider plan to support the economy, which sets out to be support people in finding jobs, enable them to gain skills they need to get jobs, provide targeted help for young people to get into work. And now Catering Association UK is relying on local restaurants to help support the country's next generation of talent through apprenticeship opportunities. While we very much understand there are currently a lot of business who are not in the position to recruit, we strongly urge those that are to step forward and hire an apprentice. Good evening, viewers. I'm pleased to have with me tonight three distinguished guests. Firstly, Dr. Aliar Hossain, researcher and program leader, Northumbria University, London. Good evening, Aliar. Seem to lost Aliar. Anyhow, I'll come back to him. I have with me Mr. Nigel Longstaff, Director, Plus Skills Development. How are you, Nigel?
I'm fine, thank you.
It's been a long time since we met in Hull.
Yes, it seems a long time ago.
It's been very, very long time, yes. Anyway, how are you keeping? How was COVID-19? I know it's not a good thing to ask, but how did it go?
I think we've been quite fortunate. We've kept working throughout, working with young people in the north of England. So it's for strange times, but I think we've been very fortunate.
Sure. Thank you. Yes, we have back with us Dr. Aliar Hossain, researcher and program leader, Northumbria University, London. Good evening, Aliar. How are you?
Hi, good evening. Sorry, I was joined and then I was disconnected. I don't know. I think we are all facing challenging time, but again, good things with technology. But you can see also we have challenges with technology sometimes.
Yes, but good to have you back. Okay.
Thank you.
And finally, Paul Townsley, Director, Plus Skills Development. Good evening, Paul.
Good evening, Shimu. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. I'm good. How have you been?
Yeah, we've been good. As Nigel said, we've been working throughout most of the lockdown period, actually working with vulnerable young people and supporting them with their ambitions to enter into the workplace. It's challenging. It is. There's lots of businesses were closing doors, obviously, during.
Yeah.
But yeah, we've kept busy, haven't we, Nigel?
That's it. Keeps us on our toes.
Yeah.
Sure. Do you remember our visit in Bangladesh 5 years ago?
I do. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that was. We've been a few times, haven't we, to Bangladesh?
Yeah, that's right. The last time about 5 years ago, wasn't it?
Was it 5? Crikey. Only seems yesterday.
Yeah, I think it was 2014, 15, something like 15 or 14.
15, maybe. Yeah, possibly. Yeah.
5 years.
Yeah, crikey.
Time flies, eh?
It certainly does. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, gentlemen, let's get back to our discussion today. It's about apprenticeship. Paul, let me come to you. I'll come to you first, or Nigel. Anyone else? I mean, apprenticeship. What is this? What is apprentice, and what is apprenticeship? We want to know, because this is something that the government is pushing towards the hospitality and the restaurant industry as well.
Do you want me to start, Nigel?
Yeah, fire away. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, essentially, it gives young people the opportunity to earn money while learning on the job. And typically, apprenticeships, and you're talking about hospitality sector.
That's right.
Typically, either a college, private training provider like ourselves would train a young person to work in that particular sector, but there are many aspects of the hospitality sector, many parts of that sector that they would learn about and work in. But essentially, they have typically a day at a college or a training provider, and then the rest of the time with the employer. The employer employs them and pays them the apprenticeship wage, but they're receiving training from their employer, from a provider, and typically on a level 2 or level 3 apprenticeship for hospitality sector, it lasts between 12 and 18 months, just depending on what particular aspect they're focusing on.
Nigel, do you want to come into this, please, to explain a bit more about the apprentice and apprenticeship?
Yeah, they're usually quite flexible. I think Paul's alluded to there that it's not just one specific area. You know, it can be anything from food preparation, barrister, food service, reception, management. It's across the range. And I think the good thing with the apprenticeship route, when you take a young person on and working with you, you can sometimes pick up skills that are probably better suited within the organisation to a different part of the business. So they may come in with one specific area that they think they want to be in, but you as an employer then can look and think, actually, this person's got some great skills. We need to be directing them and moving them into another area. But the apprenticeship route's a good way to learn while they earn. So yes, it's a commitment from the employers, but actually the reward is that you're taking people on that hopefully are going to be with you for some considerable amount of time.
That's right. Basically, I mean, it could be for the front of house. It could be for the kitchen as well. Obviously, as you said rightly, that the owner will take someone on, and they can decide. Like, look at the experience. Aliar, do you want to come into that as well, please?
Yep. No problem. Thank you very much. As Paul has explained, I think we understand that this is an opportunity for both the learner and also for the employer. It's if we look at the big picture, it is an win-win situations. The background of apprenticeships or rationale behind the apprenticeship program is sometimes, or we do have learners, those who couldn't actually continue the after completion of their GCSE levels, or sometimes even not reaching up to that level. But obviously, we need to train them and educate them in relation to the necessity or to fulfill the needs of workplace. So what we do, this is a specially designed program, or let's say academic structure, where we link with the needs of employers, so that while individual learner is working full-time, can also study. And this could be from year 1 up. I mean, it could the length could be from 1 to 6 years. It has a bit of flexibility approaches, or there are flexibilities for the learners, and employers should give certain time to the learner to study. And adding to that, there could be different qualifications can be included, like functional skills, which GCSE level qualification in English, Maths and IT, then national vocational qualification, NVQ level, excuse me. Then it could be technical certificate, which is City and Guilds and Awards and other certificate body. That it could be chart management as well. And then we have the academic qualifications, which includes basic HND to foundation, and then bachelor. And we have recently, I think there is a recently, it is moving towards level 7 as well. There is a master's program, individual learner and or employee can actually do it. So it is a great opportunity for both learners and employer as well. So when someone is starting working on something, he or she might not have relevant theoretical knowledge. They might have practical experience, but in order to increase the theoretical knowledge and how things work in reality, and also the theory behind that particular thing, so he or she can take this opportunity. So
sure.
That is the big picture, actually. Thank you.
Sure. I want to ask you, I mean, obviously, the apprenticeship, as Paul was describing, that it works like this, that the apprentice, that you recruit someone from your local, and then what they do is a full-time job, but they get paid a minimum wages, as in a apprentice wages, which is a lot lower than the minimum wages. It's around about $4.95, isn't it, Jane?
Well, at the moment, the revised figures were on the 1st of April this year. For any apprentice of any age, actually, in the first year of the apprenticeship, is £4.15.
415. Sorry, beg your pardon. Yeah, 415. Yes.
So that's for in the first year only. But then the national minimum wage is after that first year, depending on what age they are.
So basically, once the first year is £4.15, then it goes on to minimum wages of £8.20 because it's 18 to 20, isn't it?
It depends. If they're 19 or under, it will stay at 4.15.
Okay.
But once you go over 19, then you move on to the £6.45 wage band and stuff like that.
Oh, okay. So it just follows in. But obviously, look, the problem that we're facing, because Paul, I don't know if you can remember, back in 2014, we actually put forward this proposal to the restaurant industry within the Indian restaurant industry. I think if you can remember, we did. But obviously, for some reason, it didn't. It didn't sort of like go with the flow of the restaurants because they think there is a lot of paperwork. Is that true?
No, that's taken care of by the provider or the college. You know, there is paperwork there, but that's taken care of. What the employer's responsibility is to actually take them on, give them an apprenticeship contract, to employ them, to pay them that wage, and to look after them while they're working, to actually add value to what they're doing. So they're also training that young person and giving them the skills that they want as an employer, but giving them to that young person so they can support that business to grow and expand and be part of their success.
So basically, the theory about a lot of paperwork, it's not right. It's not true. Nigel, so what I want to say is that the reason for this program tonight is that we want to introduce apprenticeship into our Indian restaurant sector and make people understand that this is not something that is true, that there's lots of paperwork. There is no paperwork. There is a contract involved, an apprenticeship contract. So after they finish their 2 years, they can stay with the restaurant, and otherwise they can move on.
Yes, I think the paperwork's usually in the back of any employer's mind is, you know, what do I have to do? Is it going to be forms everywhere?
No.
What Paul's mentioned with the training providers, usually all that's taken care of. They may ask you to sign the forms, and you know, but apart from that, it's the young person. They'll probably do more paperwork than anybody, just collating evidence to help them build up their knowledge. But the employer's role is really to give them the skills. And the good thing with the apprenticeship program is you can tailor it to your business. So if you've got special areas of in the industry that you other people don't, you can actually use the apprenticeship route to help tailor make that young person for your business. So there's a lot of flexibility in there for companies who take people on to actually tailor somebody's skills for your specific needs. So it's a real advantage to employers. And I think once you've gone through the process once, you realise it's not an onerous task for an employer. It's quite beneficial.
So basically, the reason I'm reiterating this subject is that basically because I want to make this entirely clear that there is no paperwork involved. All it is, a person will come to you when you recruit them, and it's like a normal staff. But obviously, because it's a young gentleman or a female, you need to instruct them, you need to train them, you need to show them. So that's what it is involved.
Yeah, I think a key thing, if you think that the young person may have a day at college, actually the 4 days or the rest of the time they're spending with the employer. So actually they're going to learn far more skills working alongside your chefs and the people in your business. So a lot of the skills are going to be developed in the workplace. And you tend to find that the college or the training provider just helps underpin that knowledge, give them a little bit more background that can help deliver what you need as a business. So it's not an onerous task paperwork wise now.
Sure. Sure. Will you, Ms. Aliar, is Aliar here?
Yes, I am.
Oh,
can you hear me?
Okay, Aliar, yes. So Aliar, what I want to ask you that will this concept that what we're talking about Will it work in the Indian restaurant sector?
I think it will work very well. Apprenticeship program is open to all. I mean, I've been involved with some training and taking some courses for apprenticeship in different places, such as learners are from including Cisco, Home Office, even the Defense Department, British Airways, Royal Mail, and various different places. As my other guests, other colleagues were indicating that it's the whole concept of the apprenticeship program is you will be working. You might not have the academic knowledge which we in today's industry are looking for, but you will learn by doing, but then you can explore your learning and add value to it while you're studying. That is the whole point. Learning by doing, and then exploring your learning from the academic side. And what theory is saying, then you can actually cross-reference it and mix it, that, okay, what theory is saying, am I doing it? So when we are in a classroom environment of an apprenticeship, they may not have, we see that they may not have the right academic background and things, but the beauty with them is when we explain a theory, what needs to be done or how it should be working, we see that apprentice students are actually those who is doing it. They pick it up faster than even a traditional student, because the traditional student, they learn it first from us in the classroom, and then they go to the workplace and they apply it. For an apprentice, what happened actually, they do it first and then they learn it, what academic or theories say. So I see it in different way, and I see really it's helpful, especially whatever reason they did not have the opportunity to go to the school, college, or university. So it is an opportunity. Now, coming back to the point of Indian restaurant, I think it will work very well for Indian restaurant, because you can see, traditionally we see that it's kind of engaging chef and other people, those who might not be very high skilled. What will happen when you improve their skills? They will be more aware of their branding. They will be more aware of food nutrition. They will be more aware of social media marketing and all of those things. And even cooking side, if you're talking about a chef or restaurant manager, or even if you're talking about someone who will be serving as a customer service waitress or waiter. So in whichever way you look at, there could be different category of the Indian restaurants workers or staff. If you look at even improving HR side of the Indian restaurant, so if they send someone who could be doing something related to HR or business management, so this will have a huge impact, rebranding the restaurant industry, or let's say the curry industry.
To help with this subject, Aliar, what I want to say is that basically the mainly, if we talk about the front of house, it is I think it's a good way to go forward and recruit apprentice to help. Because if you train them, you can obviously adjust them to the way you want them, or how they want to recognize the menu. Absolutely. And other stuff. So I think it's a very good concept, and I'm sure the restaurant industry should look into this and take this into consideration. Paul, I want to ask you, this is a full-time job, yes?
Yes, it is, yeah.
So basically, a student or a apprentice, he will be there for 5 days or 6 days, whatever. The contract says. So it's a full-time job.
Yeah, the apprenticeship contract is pretty well laid out, and you just follow what that states. So yeah, but written into that contract is the flexibility to allow study. So either at a training or college.
But yeah, I'm going to come to that. Well, since you brought that up, I want to bring that up. Obviously, normally, if you have an apprenticeship or apprentice in your office or somewhere, and basically, one day they have to go back to the institution or the college for their study. Yes.
Yeah, that's the usual process. But there are providers out there who actually come and assess the candidate in the workplace, and they don't actually have to go into the college or to a training provider. So it depends on the model, which provider you use in which college, how they structure what they do, because some of the hospitality elements that you may have an apprentice on can be totally assessed in the workplace. So it's dependent on college, provider, and the particular area that they're going to be an apprentice in.
Sure, sure. Nigel, do you want to come into this subject about the teaching? I mean, obviously, as we discussed earlier, I mean, we spoke about this in 2015 or 14, something like that, regarding like training within while they're working. The person who is looking after them, he will go and visit them once a week or something like that. This is something can be done.
Yes, I mean the old-fashioned apprentice route would have meant that somebody would probably had to study at college for weeks on end, and the employer were paying them while they're at college. Whereas now the new model is so flexible. There's an awful lot of on-site assessment. So what they'll have is a list of things that they need to cover as part of their training, but actually they'll do it naturally occurring in the place. And quite often what happens is the apprentice will say to the assessor, right, over the next 5 weeks, 6 weeks, this is what we're going to be doing and working on. This is with the role I'm going to be taking within the company. They can generate the evidence, and they will come out and assess in the workplace. Like Paul said, it's a good model for the employees, because somebody's just coming in for a short period of time, observing what's going on, that they've got the knowledge and they've got the skills, and they can sign them off without the lengthy time that used to be spent in a college or training centre.
Sure, sure. And how, Paul, so how do I, let's say I'm a restaurateur, how do I find the apprentice?
There's a couple of ways really. One, you can work with a particular provider or college, and they find the apprentice for you, and you take it from there. Or you can find your own apprentice and then approach the college or provider and say, look, I've got this person here who wants to work in this sector, be an apprentice. Can you help me? And then they'll work out from there.
Okay, so basically, to find an apprentice, can you find it? Is there a portal or something that you can find through your local authorities or something?
You can go online to the apprenticeship directories. You can post particular jobs there, and young people know to go. Careers advisors talk to young people as they're leaving school and say, go to this portal, to the apprenticeship directory, have a look what jobs there are in your area, and they can apply that way as well.
Sure, that's good. Okay, so tell Nigel, tell us about Plus Skills Development.
Yeah, well, Paul, we've been in education a long time. We've, as an organisation, a company, we've been going for 6 years now. We're both in further education, so we've worked with apprenticeships for, I'm not going to say more than 25 years. It's 50 years between us. I'll say Paul's had more than me, but he'll probably do that. So we've worked with apprentices across all fields. So whether it's been construction industry,
engineering,
yes.
We've done all sorts of over the years. So we've got a lot of experience with apprenticeships over recent years, and I think because of all the worries about people thinking what apprenticeships about, we've had a lot of other working in different fields. So we haven't done a lot of apprenticeships in the last 18 months or so with Paul, but it's been
it's always been aligned with employment though, and employability. We work with a lot of special educational needs students, and we on a particular program called a supported internship, and we help them gain the life skills, the employability skills to move on into the workplace and have an independent life essentially. So we do a lot of that as well at the moment, and that kind of crosses over a bit into apprenticeships, because these are about young people developing skills to go and get work, you know. So we find employers to work with, and they take on some of these internships, which turn into real jobs. Sure.
Okay. Yeah. So coming back to, I think Aliar is coming back again. He's trying. Anyhow, let him come through. Anyway, I wanted to discuss about this a bit more. Is Aliar in? Yeah. Aliar, you're in? No, he's not. Anyway, Paul.
Yeah.
There is a thing that basically, if I recruit a what I call apprentice in my restaurant, that I get paid £2,000.
That's right.
Yeah.
Providing the apprentice is 24 or, you know, between 16 and 24. Yes.
16 and 24. So I recruit someone, so I get paid £2,000. And on top of that, there is this payment are an addition to the existing 1,000 payment the government already provides for the non-levy employers who hire new 16 to 18-year-old apprentice. That's total benefit of £3,000. Is that something? Yeah, because apparently there is something there that if you hire someone 16 to 18 years, you get £1,000 anyway.
That on the Rishi Sunak has announced £2,000. It used to be lower than that, but these introduced £2,000.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, no, £2,000 is just you get paid for an apprentice if you hire. On top of that, there was an additional to the existing 1,000 payment the government already provides for non-levy employers who hire new 16 to 18 years old. So basically, if the apprentice is 16 to 18 years old, the amount is £3,000 actually, 2,000 and 1,000.
Okay.
So this payment of £2,000, when, I mean, how do they get it? I mean, when do they get it? After 6 months down the line or 2 months down the line? How is it paid?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the 2,000 is a new thing, and the clarification required on the details of that. But if you're following the same format as the previous one, then it's 6 months down the line. The apprentice still has to be employed, still has to be on track with their learning that supports that employment, in order for the provider who's working with you to release that via the government. So it's essentially dependent on that particular provider, on their mechanisms and how they do that. But it's paid directly to the employer.
Mm-hmm. Okay, good. Thank you. Aliar, you're back. Yeah. Aliar, I want you to elaborate a little bit more that obviously how would the industry, as when I say industry, obviously hospitality industry is quite big. I'm talking about the restaurants and takeaways. How would the restaurant sector benefit out of the apprenticeship?
Just to add, before I answer these questions, I mean, there are many big hotels, chain hotels, and in the hospitality industry, big companies are taking these advantages because they have many learners, and also they work with them started from an initial stage. So they are training them. It's basically it's a training process while they are working full time. So the restaurant industry, they can have a look at from a new perspective. They can think about maybe they can they can do an assessment. I'm aware of that even organization like you and many other organizations, you guys could work as a platform so that you can have a debate and dialogues with the restaurant owners or consortium together that this is the need. And then you may get external help, like people like us. We can then, I mean, it requires an assessment. What sort of apprenticeship program will be more suitable to them, and who are the training provider for them? So because there are many apprenticeship programs are requirements. So initially it requires a sort of assessment. So what would be more suitable programs will be more, I mean, in terms of the fulfilling the skills gap in the restaurant industry, if we see. Starting from chef to the front level staff, and then even social media marketing. Even a lot of restaurant industry do not have an appropriate HR structure. So that is also necessary. When you have 10, 20 people are working, you should have a small level of HR procedure. So I would say that to modernizing, world has changed, and COVID-19 has taught us as well that we can't do things in the way we used to do in a traditional way. The new normal is different now. So in order to accommodate changes and going ahead with the business environmental changes, I think it is time, and it is a good time to reflect for the restaurant owners and those who are key restaurant trade leaders. They should try to understand and realize that how we can modernize our business and accommodate the changes, and at the same time improving the skills of the workers. And it's not just only workers. I would say even restaurant owners can go through the leadership and training program, especially business leadership, executive leadership. There are apprenticeship program. Even the restaurant owner should go. It shouldn't be only those for staff. I think a lot of restaurants are owned by family-owned business and owner, so and they might not have gone through the traditional route of academic sector. So it's a great opportunity while they're doing their business. And as Paul mentioned, you don't need to go every day. It's a bulk session we run or we do. So let's say you do one day, you do 9 hours class or 8-hour class, 8-hour session. So which you're supposed to do three hours or 2.5 hours, things like that. So it's kind of in 4 months, you might have 4 workshops in one module. Then you have assessment. You can access everything via online. So I would say it's a great opportunity to rethink how the apprenticeship program can rebrand the industry and can reduce the skills gap, what is required for the restaurant sector or restaurant industry and the catering industry. Thank you.
Yeah, we will. I mean, from the Catering Association UK, we have decided we will push this to the restaurant industry, the apprenticeship program this year. What we'll do, we will do the road shows regarding the apprenticeship. We'll introduce it. We'll talk about this quite a lot the coming years ahead. Paul, I know the reason I want to ask the question over again is that I want to make sure that the listeners are sort of not in two minds about apprenticeship. That apprenticeship is something that is it's so simple. It's so simple. You just employ somewhere. There will be an assessor. Where we will come in. I mean, Catering Association will come in. We will be promoting the apprenticeship, and we will be promoting the institution, probably like yourself or others. So coming back to it again, I want you to, because of in the middle again, there are some people who have joined. So I want you to just describe the apprenticeship again, if you may, please.
Okay. The apprenticeship, whereby an employer would employ somebody on that apprenticeship, they would pay them for the first year of the apprenticeship £4.15 an hour. There would be an apprenticeship contract. They would work with a provider, or would add training to that young person, either in the workplace, or that person would go out of the workplace for a day to receive additional training. The employer has a responsibility.
But this training can be done in the restaurant as well.
Yeah, the training can be done in the restaurant as well. And providers, they send an assessor in, and they assess the young person against specific tasks, criteria that are required to meet the apprenticeship standards.
Sure. Nigel, is Nigel here?
Yes, I'm still here.
Yeah, okay. Nigel, I want to ask you a question. I know you've been in this industry for quite a long time. I want to ask you a question. 18 years, 19 years old, 20 years. How are they when you sort of recruit them for work and stuff? I mean,
16, quite often one of the questions we're asked is by the employers is we don't know what this young person's like. They've been in education. And I think, as already been mentioned, when somebody's gone through a different route, I think they're ready for work. Certainly at 18, you get into 18. They want a career aspirations. Some people think that the university is the answer, and actually an apprenticeship is a very attractive option now to a young person. Certainly in the climate we're in now, the incentives to see that there's a long-term prospect for somebody. And I think if we invest in young people now, the company is it's long term. The bonus that's been given as well is, I think it's just an added incentive, and I think if we are looking to take apprentices on, now's the time. I think it's running through till the 31st of January. This £2,000 bonus, but regarding the young people, one of the concerns that we've had raised before is if I take somebody on and they're not what I need, and suddenly I find out you're not tied to a contract for 3 years that you must employ these people. You are the employer, and as with any other employer, you make the decision if that person's right. And I think we're remembering that they are learning, and it's surprising how quick young people pick up the skills. that we sometimes, because they haven't got probably had an academic route, the skills that they pick up in the workplace. There's some really talented young people out there, and I think it's time now for us to think this is it. You know, we could give them the opportunity, and I'm sure they'll pay us back.
Sure. Yeah, because the reason I asked you that question, because I read something on the news the other day. Research was saying that 90% of the apprentice, they actually stick on to their jobs. Yeah. So that's a good figure for people to understand that, like apprentice, the young people, they're more determined to work, determined to learn the new things.
I think
Paul?
Sorry,
Nigel, yeah.
The apprenticeship, when somebody signs up for an apprenticeship, it's a contract they've signed, and they're signing their commitment to that organisation. So if a restaurant signs somebody up for an apprenticeship, the young person knows that restaurant is committing themselves to train them, and they're committing themselves to the organisation. So there's a lot of value in apprenticeship, rather than just taking somebody on in a short-term contract. That commitment is good for long-term employment.
Sure. Yeah. So Paul, I know the apprenticeship, the program that we discussed. I like it. It's simple. The employers take on, and then assessor will go there and assess it. The government will pay them. The restaurant owners pay less as well. You know, it's a win-win situation for the restaurant sector. What do you think? I know, obviously, you don't have any experience in a restaurant, but you go out and eat. What do you think? I mean, will it go? I mean, with the industry, especially the Indian restaurant sector. Obviously, you've got a few of them in your area.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure it will, particularly now. I mean, the government are pouring in all sorts of incentives to kickstart the hospitality sector. You know, they really want it to work. During August, you've got this incentive for people to go to your restaurant and get, you know, a reduced cost to the food they eat. There's all sorts of incentives happening. So you've got the government there pushing hard to make this work. And if you've got that happening, and you've got the willingness in the sector wanting to grow their business and get back on track, and I think this is a clear way to manage that, to make that happen, because it is a strong message from the government saying all members of the public out there, you need to get out, you need to go and use these restaurants, you need to go and enjoy yourself and eat the food, and that will support the growth and reignite that industry, because it's had a hard time, hasn't it, over the last 3 months?
Oh,
yes, time to start it, you know.
Sure. Thank you very much, Paul. Aliar, is Aliar around?
I can hear you. Carry on. Yes, I can hear you. Carry on.
I want you to briefly take a time and tell us how the industry, as in the restaurant sector, can embrace this apprentice in your thinking. In current situation, especially at the current situation, it's a win-win. In my opinion, it's a win-win situation for the restaurateurs if they can recruit an apprentice now. Can you hear me, Aliar? We seem to lost Aliar, I think. I think we seem to lost Aliar. But anyhow, Nigel, I want to come to you. The program is coming to an end. I just wanted to ask you, what would you say to the restaurateurs for the apprenticeship program? Final thoughts from you, please.
I think you're right in mentioning that it's a win-win situation. I think, yes, the concerns that restaurateurs may have, we're opening up in a sector in reduced capacity, but actually with the incentives that are there at the minute, it's an ideal time, because hopefully as things improve and the conditions ease, you're getting a lot of support with the funding for the wage of that young person for the initial stages. So your commitment really is to give them the chance, but actually it's a fantastic opportunity that probably won't be there forever, with this additional support. So it is a win-win situation, and there's nothing to lose by giving it a go.
Sure. Thank you, Nigel. Paul.
Yeah.
Your thoughts, please. Finally, what do you think that would the restaurant? Obviously, you already talked about it, that you will definitely work within the restaurant sector. Would the restaurateur needs to try it and find out? No harm in trying, is it?
No, I'd say.
Sorry, Paul. Especially, they are not tied up into a contract. They can. The student, the apprentice can leave anytime. The owner can let them go at any time. Yes.
Yeah. What I was just going to say is that, I've worked in engineering manufacturing sector for apprenticeships for many years in different parts of the country. Look at the successes that they've had with their apprentices, and it's the same for hospitality. There's a route there to take on a young person, to train them, for them to make that business flourish and be a real big part of that. It's an opportunity for a young person to move on through to degree level now through the apprenticeship scheme. It's a huge opportunity, 1 for young people, 2 for employers, and 3 for the communities that those employers work within. So it is a win-win.
Sure. Yes, thank you very much, gentlemen. Obviously, this is the first time that we're talking about the apprenticeship program, and this is something I want to, as a president of Catering Association, you can push it through to our industry because of the situation with the staff we have. So we want to make sure that the apprenticeship program is actually embraced by the restaurateurs, so that we will definitely be doing some roadshow. We'll be talking to lots of people regarding the apprenticeship to actually introduce. Aliar, thank you for coming back again, Aliar. I want your final thoughts on the apprenticeship program and the restaurants, how the both can come together. This is something that we need to push it now to save the industry, because obviously within the Indian restaurant sector, there's a lot of problem with the staffs and everything, a lot of shortage of staff, and I think this is something we should, as an organization, push it forward to let the restaurateurs embrace this. What do you say on that?
Thank you very much. I fully agree with you, and addition to that, I think we need to make it clear that it's not just only for those who are working, those who are overall even managing the business. I think potentially, I would say, actually, it might be better if it could be more applicable, those who are managing the business right now, those who are engaged or involved in the business as first-hand. Because if they can do it, then they will see it, or they will be able to explore the business, and then they can send their staff in the pipeline. So that will be probably more beneficial rather than sending the staff. So we can look at the top-bottom approach rather than bottom-up approach. So and the benefit they will get, or we all will get, because this COVID-19 has taught us it's a very difficult time we are facing. All businesses. Aliar,
I think we are having difficulty hearing you. We're having difficulty hearing you. It's making some noise.
Can you hear me?
Aliar? Seems like he's far away than you, Paul.
Yeah.
Anyway, gentlemen, it's coming to an end now, and thank you for coming for such a short notice, and definitely I would love you to come back again soon, and we're going to definitely talk about this program with the plus skills development. We want you guys to think about it, how you can sort of help us to put apprenticeship into our Indian restaurant sector. So definitely I will be talking to you guys, and we will do something, and we'll come up with a plan, and from our side we will definitely get our restaurant, our members to start with the program. And I'm sure when 1 or 2 starts taking on, and from there other people will learn and take them on as well. Thank you very much, Paul. It's nice to see you again after a long time.
Yeah, good.
As well, and hope to meet you in person very soon.
Okay, that'll be good. Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you very much, and thank you very much, viewers, for tuning in. We will be definitely talking about this apprenticeship in the future as well, and hope to get the industry to sort of accept this apprenticeship can work, and we will definitely do our utmost best to give you all the information how it works and what's necessary you need, and it's simple as employing another staff. Thank you very much and good night.